You can feel it, can't you? That small voice inside you whispering. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it hides behind fear, behind shame, behind the version of you that you've been told to be, but it never disappears. It's the voice that says, "This isn't me. This isn't who I am. I'm tired of performing for love. I just want to be loved for who I am. Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me much earlier in life. Do not negotiate who you are. Not for approval, not for love, not for success, not even for survival. Because the moment you begin to negotiate who you are is the moment you begin to disappear. It starts so quietly. You're 5 years old and someone says, 'Good girls don't talk like that.' You're 7 and you're told boys don't cry. You're 10 and someone laughs at the way you laugh, so you adjust, you become quieter, softer, less. By the time you're 15, you're a fraction of who you used to be. Not because you changed, but because you were edited, bit by bit, for acceptance, for safety, for belonging. And let me tell you, you can spend your whole life fitting in and still feel like a stranger to yourself. I want you to sit still for a moment. Still enough to ask yourself this terrifying, beautiful, necessary question. Who am I? Without the roles I play, who are you when you're not the pleaser, not the strong one, not the achiever, not the mother, the father, the friend, the fixer, when all the performances fall away? What's left? That is where your truth begins. That is where your power lives. And that is what we've come here to remember today. The world is loud right now, louder than it's ever been, telling you who you should be, what you should want, how you should look, who you should love, what success looks like. And the more you listen, the more you forget. You forget the girl who danced in the mirror. You forget the boy who dreamed out loud. You forget the rebel, the poet, the quiet soul. You forget yourself, and I know why. Because remembering who you are is hard. It means facing where you lost yourself. It means unlearning everything they said was right. It means saying, no, that's not me. That's not my truth. I will no longer shrink to fit into your comfort zone. Let me say something as clearly as I can, and I hope you hear it not with your ears, but with your heart. Your soul is not for sale, not to fear, not to shame, not to rejection, not to someone's idea of what's acceptable. There is no job, no relationship, no achievement in this world worth trading your authenticity for. If you have to lie to belong, it's not belonging, it's imprisonment. And if you keep doing it, one day you'll wake up and realize you built a beautiful life. That doesn't feel like yours. That voice in you, the one that says, I miss me. That voice isn't asking for permission anymore. It's asking for release. This speech, these next 5 hours are not just words. They're an invitation to walk home to yourself, to stop negotiating your truth for comfort, to stop apologizing for your power, to stop dimming your light so others don't feel blind. This is the moment. Your moment, and I'm here to walk with you every step of the way. Over the next 5 chapters, we are going to go deep, not into motivation that fades in a day, but transformation that lasts a lifetime. We're going to talk about how your wholeness was broken, why you became what others needed, the pain of self-abandonment and how to come back, how your purpose is waiting on the other side of truth, and why the world doesn't need a version of you, it needs the real you. This won't be easy, but it will be worth it, because you, yes, you reading this, you are worth the work, you are worth the return. You are worth the life that feels like home. Take a breath, right here, right now, and repeat after me. I no longer negotiate who I am. I am no longer for sale. I will not shrink to survive. I will expand to live. The world is not the author of my worth. I am. Now that you've heard the voice, don't silence it again. In the next chapter, we go back to the beginning, to where the negotiation started, to where you were whole. Before you were ever broken, there is a story, your story, that began long before the noise. Long before the labels, the expectations, the corrections. You were not born with shame. You were not born apologizing for your presence. You came into this world as a masterpiece, pure, untouched, whole. And yet, somewhere along the line, someone looked at your wholeness and said, too much. You were not too loud. You were not too quiet. You were not too sensitive. You were simply real, and the world, so busy wearing masks, couldn't handle the truth of someone who hadn't learned to hide. When you were born, you didn't know anything about the word worthy. Because you were it, you didn't second, guess the space you took up. You didn't measure your laugh. You didn't filter your joy. You didn't wait for permission to feel what you felt. Babies cry when they're sad. They scream when they're frustrated. They reach when they want love. They live in truth. And then slowly, subtly, we teach them to negotiate. We say, be quiet. We say, be nice. We say, don't embarrass us. We say, that's not how girls act. We say, man up. And in those moments, something sacred happens. Do you remember the first time you hid who you were? Maybe you were laughed at for sharing your art. Maybe you were told to act tough when you wanted to cry. Maybe someone rolled their eyes when you were excited, and suddenly, excitement became dangerous. That's when the first negotiation happens. You trade your truth for safety. You trade visibility for approval. You trade your full self for a fraction that fits, and the world rewards that. They call it mature. They call it fitting in. But what they're really saying is, we're more comfortable when you're less you. And isn't that a tragedy? To survive by becoming invisible, we disappear to keep the peace. We disappear to avoid confrontation. We disappear because the world told us that being ourselves was too dangerous, too radical, too inconvenient. But every time you disappear, you leave behind a piece of your soul. You smile when you want to cry. You say yes when your body says no. You show up as a version, not as a person. And then one day you wake up and you don't recognize yourself. Because the edits have become your identity. But here's the truth that will set you free. You were never broken. You were betrayed by a world that taught you to betray yourself. Returning to wholeness is not becoming something new. It's unbecoming everything you never were. It's letting go of the smile you wear to be liked, the silence you keep to avoid judgment, the personality you built to be accepted. Your wholeness is still there underneath the mask, beneath the roles. It's waiting not for the world to allow it, but for you to reclaim it. Go back to the little girl who danced in her room. Go back to the little boy who drew galaxies. Go back to the dreamer, the misfit, the loud one, the shy one, the one who hadn't yet learned to hide. That child is your blueprint. That child was whole. Talk to them. Apologize for leaving them behind. Tell them, I'm back now. And mean it. To deny your wholeness is to live a half life, and a half life is filled with burnout from trying to be what you're not. Loneliness from not being seen. Depression from disconnecting from your truth. You weren't meant to live like this. Not you. Not with that fire inside you. Not with that light. Do not waste another year negotiating your worth. Do not waste another breath explaining yourself to people who benefit from your silence. Wholeness is not a feeling, it's a choice. Every time you speak when it's easier to stay silent, cry when you're told to be strong, say no when you're expected to say yes, you choose yourself. And every time you choose yourself, you reinforce this truth. I was whole before the world told me otherwise, and I will be whole again. Not someday, not when they approve, not when it's safe, now. Stand in front of a mirror tonight. Look deep into your own eyes and ask, have I been negotiating who I am? And if the answer is yes, then offer yourself the greatest gift a soul can receive. permission to come home. To your fire, to your softness, to your truth, to your wholeness, because the world doesn't need another edited version of you. It needs the real thing, and you, my friend, you were whole before the world ever tried to convince you otherwise. Let's walk back there together. There comes a time in every life when you look in the mirror and wonder, is this me, or just the version of me that was easier for them to love? We don't begin life wearing masks. We are born raw, real, unfiltered. We cry when we're hurt. We dance when we're happy. We speak our mind before someone teaches us to doubt it. But then the world comes in with its rules, its judgment, its quiet punishments for being too much, too loud, too weird, too emotional. Too different, and slowly, we start to shrink. We start to trade parts of ourselves for belonging. We wear a smile when we're hurting. We act confident when we feel terrified. We say yes when everything inside us screams no. We say we're fine when we are falling apart. Why? Because we are taught to believe that love is conditional. The first time you realized love could be taken away, that was the day you began crafting your mask. Maybe it was when your parent only praised you when you got straight A's. Maybe it was when your teacher mocked you for asking a question. Maybe it was when your friend left because you told them the truth. So you made a decision. If I have to change to be accepted, so be it. And the mask was born. Here's the lie. Pleasing others will protect you from pain. But here's the truth. Pleasing others will only postpone the pain and place it inside you. Let me tell you something that took me decades to learn. People, pleasing is not kindness. It is self-betrayal wrapped in a smile. You don't just lose sleep. You don't just lose energy. You lose yourself. Because the more you perform who you think they want, the less you remember who you are. Let's talk about them one by one. You wear it every time someone asks how you're doing, and instead of saying, I'm not okay, you smile and lie, because vulnerability is scary, because breaking the illusion of perfection might cost you something. So you pretend and the pain festers. You became the fixer, the one who doesn't need help, the one who carries everyone else's burdens. Why? Because somewhere along the way you learned that your needs don't matter. But let me tell you, strength that comes from suppression is not strength. It's silence, and silence rots the soul. You thought if you could just accomplish enough, they'd see you. You thought if you became impressive enough, perfect enough, valuable enough, you'd finally be worthy of love. But the truth is, worthiness is not earned. It is remembered. Wearing the mask says, I believe who I am is not enough. I must become someone else to be loved. I am afraid of being rejected as my true self. And I want you to know those are not truths. They are wounds, and every wound that isn't healed becomes a performance. Right now, I want you to ask yourself, where am I still wearing a mask? At work, in your marriage, with your family, with your friends. When you post on social media, are you being you, or are you curating what you think they want to see? When you say yes to that invitation, that favor, that role, are you honoring yourself, or are you avoiding the discomfort of disappointing someone? Let's talk about the cost, because make no mistake, there is always a cost to self-negotiation, and here's what it steals. Peace, joy, sleep, creativity, connection, intimacy, purpose, presence, passion, self-respect, and you might still get the applause. You might still get the likes. You might still be loved, conditionally, but deep down, you know it. It's not you they love, it's your performance, and that is the loneliest place to be. You cannot heal what you are not willing to reveal. So today, I ask you to get honest. What mask have you worn the longest? Who taught you that you had to hide to be worthy? And what is it costing you to keep wearing it? Because here's the good news, You can take it off. You can be seen, and you can still be safe. Let me say this with every ounce of truth I have. Real love does not require a costume. Real belonging does not require a mask. Real freedom is found in authenticity, not in agreement. The people who truly love you will love you more when you are honest, not less. The right ones will say, "Thank you for being real. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being you." And the ones who can't accept the real you, let them go. Let them go with grace. Let them go with peace. Let them go without guilt, because you were never created to be a mirror for someone else's comfort. You were created to be a window to your own truth. If you want a fulfilled life, you have to be willing to be seen, fully, without the filter, without the performance, without the apology. And yes, not everyone will clap for the real you, but the people who matter. They'll finally find you, because you can only attract love to the degree that you allow yourself to be visible. You've been hiding behind your mask, wondering why no one sees you. But my love, how can they see what you keep covered? I want to leave you with this. Taking off the mask is terrifying, but it is also the most liberating thing you will ever do. You will breathe deeper, you will laugh harder, you will love truer, you will live louder. Because there's nothing more powerful than a woman, than a man, than a soul who finally decides, I will no longer negotiate myself for acceptance. I will no longer apologize for existing. I am done hiding. The real me is enough. Tonight, when you're alone, sit with this question. What part of me have I silenced in order to be loved? And when you hear the answer, write it down, say thank you, and start the work of unmasking. Because the world needs you, not the edited version, not the filtered version, just you. Let me ask you a question, not as a speaker, not as a celebrity, not even as Oprah, but as a woman who has walked through fire. How many times have you told yourself yes when your soul was screaming no? How many times have you abandoned yourself to belong to someone else? How many times have you shrunk your voice just to be heard? How many times have you denied your truth just to maintain the peace? How many times have you broken your own heart just to keep someone else from leaving? Let me tell you what I've learned. There is no pain more haunting than the pain of betraying your own soul, because here's the truth. You don't have to cut yourself to bleed. You don't have to scream to be hurting. You don't have to be alone to be empty. Self-betrayal is a silent death. It doesn't announce itself, it creeps in. One compromise at a time. Self-betrayal is not always loud. It doesn't always look like giving up on your dreams. Sometimes it's much smaller, much quieter, saying yes to dinner when your body needs rest, laughing at the joke that hurt you just to avoid awkwardness, staying in a relationship that drains you because you're afraid of being alone, pretending you're okay when you're breaking inside, agreeing with something that violates your values just to avoid confrontation, looking in the mirror and apologizing to yourself. Again, self-betrayal is when you choose their comfort over your truth. It's when you disappear bit by bit, choice by choice, smile by smile, until one day you don't recognize who you've become. Let's go deep. Let's go to the root. Why do we do it? Because somewhere along the way we were taught, maybe not in words, but in experience, that who we are is not safe. You were taught that speaking your truth makes you difficult, setting boundaries makes you selfish, wanting more makes you ungrateful, being sensitive makes you weak. So you chose survival over truth, peace over authenticity, acceptance over integrity, and maybe that kept you alive. But now it's killing something sacred inside you. Because the longer you betray your truth, the harder it is to hear your soul. You don't need a therapist to tell you. Your body already knows. Your spirit already whispers. Here are the signs: constant fatigue, not physical, but soul exhaustion, an unexplained sadness even when things are going well, a subtle resentment toward people you love, a sense of emptiness even in moments of success, a quiet voice inside asking, is this really my life? These are not random. These are your soul's alarm bells. Your body is saying what your mouth won't. Your life is trying to speak where your truth has been silenced. And if you don't listen, that quiet sadness will become depression, that fatigue will become burnout, that resentment will become anger. That silence will become suffering. I want you to take a moment and really look back. Think of every time you said yes when you meant no. Every time you apologized just to keep the peace. Every time you dimmed your light so someone else wouldn't feel insecure. Every time you tolerated what broke you because you feared the cost of walking away. Now ask yourself, what has it cost me to keep betraying myself? Your peace, your dreams, your health, your identity. Your voice, that is not selflessness, that is sacrifice, and sacrifice without truth is self-destruction. Let me be clear, relationships require compromise. Life requires flexibility. But there is a line, and you know when you've crossed it. You can feel it in your gut, in that ache behind your eyes, in that restless tossing at night, in the way you exhale not with relief, but with resignation. Here's how you know. If the compromise costs you your peace, your purpose, or your truth, it's no longer a compromise. It's a betrayal. You cannot change what you refuse to name. So today, I want you to say it with me. I have betrayed myself, and I am ready to come home. Say it out loud, not as shame, but as freedom. Because naming your truth is the first step to reclaiming it. Healing begins not with a revolution, but with a whisper. A whisper that says, I'm tired, this doesn't feel right. I want more, I miss me, I'm done lying, and then you begin to come home, one truth at a time, one no at a time, one boundary at a time, one tear, one prayer, one breath at a time. You stop silencing yourself. You stop apologizing for your needs. You stop shrinking to fit their comfort. You stop negotiating. The power of integrity, let me tell you something I've learned over and over again. Living in truth will cost you something, but living in lies will cost you everything. It might cost you relationships. It might cost you comfort. It might cost you your old life, but it will give you, and when you have you can finally breathe. You can finally sleep. You can finally love, no matter how far you've strayed, no matter how many times you've abandoned yourself, no matter how long you've been living as a stranger to your soul. It's never too late to return. The door is open, the light is on, the invitation is waiting, and the person waiting behind that door is the you've always been, untouched, unshaken, undeniable. Here's what I want you to remember today. Self-betrayal is not noble, it's abandonment. You are allowed to disappoint others to remain loyal to your soul. You are allowed to change your mind when your truth changes. You are allowed to protect your peace unapologetically. This life is not a performance. It's not a script. It's not a contract you owe to other people's comfort. This life is yours, and your soul, she's waiting for you to stop whispering apologies and start roaring truth. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to justify your truth. You do not need to negotiate who you are. I want you to sit with me for a moment and really hear this, because it's one of the most important truths I've ever learned in life. There is a cost to being palatable. There is a price you pay when you shrink yourself, when you hide your brilliance, when you dim your light just so others feel comfortable, when you choose to be acceptable instead of authentic. Palatable means pleasant enough to be accepted or tolerated. It means you're digestible, you don't offend the senses, you don't challenge the status quo. You're safe, you're easy, you're convenient. But being palatable also means you're invisible. You're the background music, not the headline act. You're the polite nod, not the bold declaration. You're the soft echo, not the roaring voice. You play small not because you lack power, but because you fear rejection. Here's the secret that no one tells you. Playing small never leads to real joy. It only leads to a deeper hunger, a gnawing emptiness that no applause can fill. Why? Because when you choose to be palatable, you trade your dreams for safety, trade your voice for silence, trade your fire for comfort, and in that trade, you lose the essence of who you really are. Remember, the world didn't put that fire inside you to smother it. That fire, that passion, that raw, messy, unstoppable energy, it's a gift, and it wants to be used. It wants to set you free. But if you keep playing small, keeping your brilliance hidden, that fire will turn to ash. It's natural to want to be accepted. We crave love. We feel rejection. So we bend ourselves like saplings in the wind, flexible, silent, easy to forget. We tell ourselves stories. If I'm too loud, I'll be alone. If I'm too much, I'll scare them away. If I'm too bold, I'll be rejected. But here's what I want you to understand. Those stories are not your truth. They are fears wearing masks. When you chase acceptance by diluting yourself, you're living a shadow life. Your joy becomes dependent on others' approval. Your worth becomes tied to external validation. And the saddest part, even when people accept the version of you that's small, quiet and safe, you won't feel whole because your soul knows. Your soul knows you're meant for more. True joy isn't found in hiding. It's found in showing up fully with your scars, your quirks, your fire, your truth. It's in the freedom of saying, "This is me. Take it or leave it. I am worthy exactly as I am." And when you embrace that freedom, you don't just find joy, you find liberation. When you stop negotiating who you are, you don't just change your life, you change the lives of those around you. Because living authentically is contagious. It creates permission. It lights the way for others to do the same. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. What would my life look like if I stopped playing small? If I stopped hiding? If I stopped being palatable? It's scary, it's uncomfortable, it's risky, but it's also the path to your greatest joy. The world needs you at full volume, your voice, your light, your passion, not dimmed, not silenced, not negotiated. Because when you show up fully, you inspire others to do the same. And that, my friend, is a gift beyond measure. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world seems to ask you to choose. Will you follow the crowd, or will you stand alone? To stand alone takes courage. To be authentic when everyone else wears masks takes bravery. But this courage, this ability to stand firm in your truth is the birthplace of true power. Walking the path of authenticity often feels like standing on a deserted island. When you stop negotiating who you are, you may find that you're standing alone. Friends may fade, opinions may clash, doors may close, but that solitude, it's not emptiness, it's the fertile ground where your soul grows strong. Why do we fear standing alone? Because humans are wired to belong. Rejection hurts, and the fear of loneliness keeps us hiding our true selves. We tell ourselves, if I stand out, I will be rejected. If I'm different, I will be left behind. If I'm myself, I won't have support. But what if I told you that real rejection is only losing yourself? There's a heavy price tag on belonging at the cost of your soul. You trade your peace for people's approval. You trade your dreams for their comfort. You trade your true self for their acceptance. That price, it's too high. True belonging is not found in changing yourself to fit in, it's found in bringing your whole self to the world and being accepted as you are. The strength found in solitude, standing alone, sharpens you. It builds resilience. It forces you to look inward and find your own voice. In solitude, you discover your inner worth is unshakable. Your identity is not dependent on others' approval. Your power grows from within. Examples of courageous standouts: think of the greats, those who changed the world. Maya Angelou, Martin Luther King Jr., Oprah Winfrey herself, all stood firm in their truth, even when it was lonely. They faced criticism, isolation, and doubt, but they never negotiated who they were, because they knew true power lies in authenticity. So today, I invite you to be brave enough to stand alone if you must, to be bold enough to be yourself even if it's uncomfortable, because when you stand alone with authenticity, you stand on the foundation of your true power. And here's the beautiful truth. When you claim your true self, you don't really stand alone. You become a magnet drawing to you the people, opportunities, and joy that align with your soul. What would happen if you stopped negotiating who you are right now? What mountains would you move? What voices would you inspire? What life would you create? The answer lies within you. And I promise you the courage to stand alone is the courage to be free. As we come to the close of this journey together, I want you to feel this deep truth resting in your heart. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to dim your light. You are here in all your complexity, all your brilliance to shine fiercely, fully, and unapologetically. The world needs the unique gifts only you can bring, not a watered-down version, not a palatable imitation, but you raw, authentic, unfiltered. So today, I ask you stand firm in your truth, own your story, and never, ever negotiate who you are. Your next step, if this message stirred something deep inside you, then I invite you to take one simple but powerful step. Commit to honoring your true self every day. Write it down, say it out loud, live it boldly, and if you're ready to dive deeper, join our community, a space where authenticity is celebrated, where courage is nurtured, and where your true self is always welcome. Subscribe, share this message with someone who needs to hear it, and comment below with one way you will honor yourself today. Your voice matters, your truth matters, and your journey to unapologetic living starts right now. Thank you for showing up for yourself today. Remember, not negotiate who you are, because the world needs you just as you are.